Every boyo paladin should be on NoFap. This is a very important thing. We must all resist the modern urges of pornography, which, of course, this has been done to death on YouTube, done to death on Reddit, is incredibly harmful for you. I will accept zero arguments to the contrary. If you think otherwise, bye-bye. Or stay and get some motivation for actually having some self-discipline. So I think that complete and utter self-ownership is basically the path in life. And you should align that towards the proper way, the way of our ancestors, the way of what has been till recently Christian morality. They seem to have figured that out like really, really well. So consider this a NoFap motivation video for you beautiful people to keep you ticking over, because of course the world is a tough place. So I want to specifically touch on libido preservation today. So what the hell is libido? First of all, it's a word that's thrown around and people often think it's like a sexual drive, and to me, in many ways it is sexual drive, but it's more than that. It's like a general creative, energetic, intangible drive. And what happens, and Freud talked about this an awful lot actually, what happens is you build up a libido and then you will release it in some kind of, in I guess, as Mark Queppet put it, a Universal Man on YouTube, a genital sneeze. You end up doing that rather than actually preserving your libido. So outside of all the negative effects of pornography specifically, it's like, why no fap? Or even no nut, something like that. It's like, well, if you build up your libido, then what happens is something called sexual transmutation. It seems to move up from your lower chakra, if you're an Eastern mystic, and move up to something else more creative. It goes up you and then comes out in more creative outlets. And this is a fascinating thing. So all warrior cults, for example, would practice sexual discipline. That's very interesting. All boxers would practice this, like Muhammad Ali, for example, would practice this before fights. That's also very interesting. Freud decided at the age of 40 that he wasn't going to have sex with his wife anymore because he wanted creative outlets. So that's very interesting. Tesla, I'm not quite sure if Tesla was voluntary or not, like an incel, but he thought that I mean, there are weird urban legends around Tesla. Apparently he used to sort of pump himself up almost to the point of finish and to use it as like energy, something like that. I don't know if that's true, but he was on NoFap. Isaac Newton was also on NoFap. So, and Newton would definitely have had access to ladies. Like he was, I think he was in the House of Commons for Cambridge University. He didn't really say anything except complaining about a window one time. But he also practiced this stuff. It's like, it seems to be associated with being the absolute peak performance in your particular career. So obviously this shouldn't be a concern for you if you're currently operating at like 80%. There are other optimizations. But it's a cool hypothesis. Like, why am I wasting my energy? Because like actually creating male fluid, we'll call it, does require a lot of energy, like a lot of zinc, for example, a big physiological dump into the body. So why the hell are we wasting that on fake pixels on the internet? And you know this, for example. Like, we know this as well from studies that about 7 or 8 days into complete sexual abstinence, your testosterone levels in the blood go down. And people might think, well, that's a bad thing. It's like, no. If the testosterone levels in the blood go down, that means your tissues have absorbed it. It's not being broken down. Your tissues have taken it up. So you will actually get a testosterone boost from doing this. And that's very, very strange. I don't think you get a boost again after that, but it's like an extended period of abstinence. So when you're sort of sitting there thinking to yourself, like, why am I doing this? It's like, well, what you're doing is you're actually taking your masculine energy, your masculine spirit, and you're cultivating it. Every second that ticks by, it's sitting there brewing, bubbling, waiting, and it will drive you up. And at the same time as that, of course, your dopamine is also being healed. Because if you're constantly playing around with pornography, you will notice, I guarantee that the pornography you were watching when you were 12 is not the same that you're watching now, depending on your age now, of course. It won't be the same. It would have escalated significantly. Whereas when you were 12, merely the sight of a girl in a bikini would have been enough to excite you. Now it's got to be like 3 midgets playing. I'm not even going to go down that route, but you know what I mean. Or maybe not to that complete extreme degree before you use that as an excuse to throw everything else away, but it escalates. And we're told by weird leftist psychologists that whatever you like in porn is a natural expression of your sexuality. That's complete and utter rubbish. what happens is it's so exciting for you as a super stimulus that your dopamine goes boom, shoots up through the roof, and then it will crash back down again. You actually saturate your receptors. So what your body does is it makes more dopamine receptors. So it takes more of an excitement to stimulate you fully. And that keeps going and going and going. So for the longer you abstain from the dodgier, unnatural stuff, your dopamine will begin to heal. And the consequences of that, of course, are increased romantic attraction to somebody else, like emotional receptivity. You're less of a psychopath. You're less cold. You're more likely to actually feel empathy for other people, and a higher libido when it comes to real life women. It's like your actual relationships will improve in that particular regard. So there are like sort of two flip sides to this. It's like staying away from porn actually heals you, actually heals your brain. And we know this. If you're watching this, you know this. You have to do this. It's one of the biggest curses of the modern age, I swear to you. And then on the other side, it's like, how can we optimize this for even further? It's like, if there's no reason to do this, treat NoFap as a baseline discipline you do not break. One, for pure discipline reasons, because men should be disciplined, and at the same time, you'll get that sexual transmutation boost. There you go. That's all the motivation you need. Continue on your damn journey, you beautiful boyo paladin, on your crusade to greatness. That's all I have to say today. Thank you, everybody. Before you go, if you're interested in talking to me further, if you want to have a closer relationship with me, check out the Patreon down below. I have a Discord server in there, very cheap per month. I'm in voice chatting there all the time. We can hang out, have a good time, especially this is a small channel. It's like I'm trying to give you the best value possible in terms of my time spending on this stuff. So thank you, everybody. Stick to the discipline that you said that you would stick to out of your goddamn masculine iron will and your iron word, and I will see you on the other side.